Hi, I'm Jeff Palensky. I'm a firefighter paramedic at East Pierce Fire and Rescue, and today I'm going to be reading you Big Frank's Fire Truck. It's by Leslie McGuire. You ready? Here we go. It's 9 o'clock on Monday morning. Big Frank is just getting to work. Big Frank is a firefighter, and he works a 24-hour shift. That means that he will be on duty all day and all night. There's Big Frank coming into work. This is the firehouse. This is where Big Frank lives, sleeps, and eats while he's at work. Big Frank checks in and goes over his schedule. At 11 o'clock, he'll make a fire inspection at the supermarket. At 2 o'clock, he'll visit the elementary school and talk about fire safety. Big Frank has to be prepared for all kinds of emergencies too. Who knows what will happen during his shift? So here's his office, the kitchen at the fire station, the common room, the bunk room, and of course you have the fire trucks and another vehicle, and the slide too, or the pole too. The fire chief asks Big Frank to fuel up the fire trucks. Big Frank heads for the garage. Big Frank's company has 3 fire trucks. The hook and ladder is used for aerial rescue. The brush breaker has 4-wheel drive and can go where there are no roads. Big Frank drives the pumper engine. The pumper holds water, 1,000 gallons. So this must be the hook and ladder right here. This must be the brush, and this is the pumper. Good, the brush breaker, yes. After he takes care of the engine, Big Frank checks his gear. He wears a helmet to protect his head, a fireproof coat, and pants to protect his body, and sturdy boots to protect his feet. He has a wooden wedge for propping open doors and an oxygen pack and mask in case there's a fire and they're very smoky. Big Frank hangs his equipment next to the pumper engine. Now he's ready for everything. There he is, getting all of his personal gear together. His helmet, his bunker pants, and his bunker boots or bunker coat and bunker pants. Big Frank sits down with his partner Mike for a cup of coffee. Just then, the fire bell rings. Ring, ring, ring. At the same time, the lights in the front of the station start flashing, and the computer starts printing. Accident at the intersection of Main Street and Laurel Road. Car on fire. There's the bell going off, and they're getting ready to go. Mike, Janet, and Gary jump into the pumper with a Big Frank, and Big Frank turns on the siren and heads out of the station. Woo! The fire truck roars down Main Street with the siren going full blast. Cars pull over when they hear the noise, and the policeman waves the big engine right through the red light. The firefighters arrive at the scene of the accident in less than 4 minutes. There they are going through the intersection with the police officer and the red light and Big Frank doing the siren. The first thing Big Frank does is check to see if anyone's hurt. He is glad he has a paramedic training, just like me. One lady has a bad cut on her head. Big Frank bandages the cut, and Mike radios for an ambulance. Meanwhile, Gary and Janet spray the burning car with a special foam made for gasoline fires. The flames go out, and the tow truck comes to haul the wrecked car away. Oh, there's Big Frank taking care of the patient, and here's the fire over here. They're putting the foam on the fire. Big Frank returns to the station with the others and fills out his report. He looks at the watch. It's nearly 11 o'clock. I think he had something to do at 11 o'clock. He drives over to the quick shop to make his inspection. Big Frank inspects the store's sprinkler system to make sure it's working properly. He checks the emergency doors to see if they'll open in case of a fire. And he also runs a test on the alarm system. The supermarket has a smoke alarm that rings right in the fire station. Everything looks okay. Here he is checking the sprinkler system. Back at the firehouse, Big Frank eats lunch with the other firefighters. Then he takes a short nap in his bunk. I love naps. At 2 o'clock, Big Frank and Mike drive the pumper engine over to the Niceview Elementary School. Big Frank and Mike talk to the second grade class about fire safety. Mike tells them that smoke detectors are very important. He shows them how to check their smoke detectors at home. Big Frank teaches the class what to do in case of a house fire. He tells them to stay low so they won't breathe too much smoke. Then he shows them how to stop, drop, and roll. There's Big Frank teaching them how to stop, drop, and roll. And they're talking about the sprinkler, or the fire smoke alarms there. On the way back to the station, a call comes in over the radio. Brush fire at Dairy Hill. Big Frank turns the pumper around and heads for Dairy Hill. He and Mike will meet the rest of the company there. Big Frank is worried. There hasn't been any rain for a long time, and the wind's blowing. This could be a bad fire. There's Frank. They whipped around the fire pumper. Big Frank and Mike reach the fire a little after 4 o'clock. They go right to work to spray the water around the edge of the blaze to keep it from spreading. The wind blows and sparks fly through the air. When the rest of the company arrives, the fire chief tells Janet and Gary to hose down the roofs of the nearby houses. That will help keep the sparks from setting the houses on fire. Here's the big fire you can see on this side, and them spraying the fire from the pumper truck. At nightfall, the wind picks up speed. Suddenly, the fire goes out of control and races towards the forest. This fire's too big for one company to handle alone. Big Frank radios for help. 2 more companies are on their way. There's their little brush beater and the pumper here. They're trying to put out that fire that keeps spreading from the wind. Big Frank knows all the firefighters in the other companies. He's worked with them on many times. Together, they make a good team. By midnight, they have saved the nearby houses from catching fire. They have headed off the blaze to the north, south, and east. But the fire is still spreading west through the trees. Even the brush breaker can't keep up. Big Frank calls in a squad of special firefighting helicopters, and soon they're whirling overhead. That sounds like fun. Look at the special helicopters for firefighting. They drop water with these big buckets right on top of the fire. The firefighters battle the blaze from the ground. The helicopters drop chemicals from the air. Finally, after 14 hours, the fire begins to die out. The worst is over. Big Frank is tired. No wonder, it's nearly 6 o'clock in the morning. As soon as the next shift of firefighters arrives, Big Frank and his company head back to the firehouse. There they are, congratulating everybody for doing a good job and using teamwork to put out the fire. Back at the station, Big Frank helps wash down the truck. They are sooty from the fire. Big Frank is dirty too. He has ashes all over him. even in his hair. Big Frank jumps in the shower, then he puts on clean clothes and eats a big breakfast. It's 9 o'clock on Tuesday morning. Big Frank's shift is over. Big Frank waves goodbye to the other firefighters. He can't wait to get home. He can't wait to hug Amber and little Frank. This is them washing the fire truck. And after his shower, he heads out and waves to the other firefighters. Big Frank will have 2 days off to spend with his family. Then he'll start another shift. Fighting fires and helping everyone's family stay safe and sound. Oh, that's nice. Firefighter Frank with his, looks like his son and his daughter, saying hi. And that's the conclusion of Big Frank's Fire Truck, read by Jeff Palensky.